No, I said,
Nothing to say.
I'm looking at the clock. I'm like,
Good afternoon. We're going to start our study session. I have item number 9, and I'm going to call that ready. I'll know by Monday. Councilor Thompson.
Thank you, Madam President. I have items 10 through 15. I have people here to speak, department heads here to speak on the items. Item number 10. Do we have somebody from item 10? Thank you, Chief.
Good afternoon. I'm Michael Mons, the fire chief. The county is going to reimburse us for counterterrorism and hazardous materials training for close to $10,000. So that's what this legislation is for.
Okay. Any questions?
Is it just the county, or do we do other outside entities?
We do our training, and the county reimburses us because if there's an incident in the county, we respond. So they're paying for our training.
Just Onondaga?
Yes.
We don't go any further?
No, we go to Madison and Oswego.
And we get reimbursed by Madison and Oswego?
When those situations come up, we try to get reimbursed for those situations. But this particular legislation is for Onondaga County paying for our training, for our backfill and overtime for our training.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Okay, you're welcome.
We have item number 11, which I'll call ready. Item number 12, which is set for a committee meeting at 12:45 today. Item 13.
Afternoon, everybody. Joe Cecil, First Deputy Chief with the Syracuse Police Department. Number 13 is a donation from Pathfinder Bank of $1,000 to help with our Shop with a Cop program that we do every Christmas, where we have children come in, paired up with officers, and they go out and shop for different items.
Okay,
How do we determine what kids we choose?
It comes from a bunch of different directions from our community relations. Also, officers that are on calls throughout the year may find a family that's in need or some children that are in need, and they do the referrals as well.
Okay, Chief, thank you. Item 14.
14 is the Syracuse University Dome Traffic Agreement that we just recently updated. We've been working with an agreement, but not an updated agreement for several years. So this one's been updated. I just want to go over, there's 3 main items that will benefit the city that have been upgraded into this new contract. Previous to this, the city paid the first $150,000 of this traffic agreement based on the economic benefit that these events produce for the city. It has been reduced to $100,000, meaning the city will pay the first $100,000 toward the traffic control costs of dome events. And then after that, all costs are incurred by Syracuse University. Secondly, it allows for the use of CSOs, which are community service officers, to take up specific traffic posts. These will be paid for by Syracuse University. And thirdly, it allows for the addition of parking checkers. Routinely during these events, we have illegally parked cars, fire hydrants, odd and even from here to curb. We aren't actively addressing those because we're doing traffic control. So this allows for parking checkers to work the events and address these parking violations. These parking checkers will again be paid for by Syracuse University.
So I have a question. We didn't get a chance to discuss this in leadership. So, and I don't know if I'm speaking for any of my colleagues, but I'm certainly a little confused by why we pay them money. So let me give you my perspective.
Sure.
There's no other circumstance that I'm aware of where police services can be isolated for free, or where the city covers the cost, right? Anybody who uses police services has to pay the cost of police services. And on the surface, and let's just say, I'll say from a layman's point of view, we have a service agreement with Syracuse University. This almost looks like a reimbursement of sorts. Like if you have a service agreement where you provide the city, you have an agreement to pay a certain amount of money to the city over a certain time. But for some of those same services, we're going to pay $100,000 to you. So I guess my question, I don't know if you can answer it, Chief, when we talk about the financial benefits of certainly to bring traffic and to spend at businesses that has its value. But I guess I need an idea of what SU would be paying for exactly. So when we say they'll pay for whatever exceeds $100,000,
Sure.
are we talking about another $20,000, another $50,000? Because it only makes sense to me if what they're paying is over
Sure.
an additional $100,000.
We can get that number for you based on last year, and it will be far exceeding 20, 60, 100,000. It will exceed, I don't know if it's into the millions, but we can get that number for you. I also wanted to mention that the contract is in its final review, and I'm told you'll have it in your hands by tomorrow morning, so you
Yeah,
can see the contract itself.
Again, because I just need clarity on why we would pay them to perform police services.
Understood.
Yeah, and when under any other circumstance, the person using those services would be paying for them.
Understood.
I don't know if any other council had any questions.
My question was going to be, how much do they spend? Which it sounds like you don't currently have the answer each year. How much does the university pay for these services?
Not standing here today, but I can get that number for you based
Okay.
on last year.
I think we need that. And then the contract, I'll just echo Councilor Bay.
And just for clarity, so that maybe what I'm saying is not misconstrued. We know we're not giving them $100,000, but we're paying the cost of labor and the like, which cuts their cost, or what would be their cost.
Sure, we're paying the first $100,000 of the traffic costs, the personnel, the equipment, right up to $100,000. So if we weren't paying that, it would be their cost, correct?
And I would just add, this is one of the largest landowners in the city who doesn't pay property taxes. So all the more reason. It's good that it's gone from $150,000 to $100,000 a year, but it seems like, I would echo again, it probably should be zero.
I mean, we love SU, with probably roughly over 670 million annual income, while we struggle to spend 250 million annually in the city. It just seems a little backwards to me.
Understood.
But I appreciate it if we can get that information.
You got it. I can get you that number.
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions on that item? Item 15, Chief McGurk.
Hi, guys. Derek McGork, Deputy Chief of the Syracuse Police Department. So we're looking to enter into an agreement with the Madison County Sheriff's Office to share services in the way of SWAT teams. Their SWAT team, our SWAT team. In the event they need help from us, they can call us. We currently do this anyway through mutual aid, but we're looking to formalize it. There's no cost. In other words, if we respond there, we're not charging them. If they respond here, they're not charging us. Covers issues of liability. Just makes things more efficient. One thing that it would do, I think, as a benefit is a lot of the grants that we currently apply for require or look for some component of formal agreements between, or formal working relationships between agencies, multi-jurisdictional working relationships. So this would accomplish that goal and would help us in the event of future grant applications as well.
Any questions?
Yeah, so I apologize for probably not knowing this, but do we have a similar agreement with Onondaga County, or how does our SWAT work with the county SWAT? Is it sort of under the same roof? Do we have some sort of agreement like this with them as well? Does the county have an agreement with Madison County?
I don't want to speak for what the county has with Madison County because, frankly, I'm not sure. There are other. This is kind of a trend, right? So we work very closely with the Onondaga County Sheriff's Office, with their SWAT team, with their sheriffs, with a lot of what they do there, not just their SWAT teams. Oswego County has expressed an interest in working with us. They're in the process of developing an agreement that they can send down for your approval as well. It's kind of, everything's kind of moving that way in terms of a multi-jurisdictional response to any incident that might require a tactical team or something like that.
Thank you, Chief. Thanks.
So,
Thank you. Councilor Rudd.
Thank you, Madam President. I have item 16, Commissioner Clifford. You want to, I guess, go ahead and try to introduce it.
Good afternoon, councilors. This is some legislation we're requesting to amend the enabling legislation that was passed back in 2009, I believe, by the council for the 485A exemption. It's our hope to tighten up the exemption to make it eligible for properties that are actually performing what was the spirit of the law, which is to take a underutilized building and convert it to mixed use. What we're requesting here is that we add some qualifications for that. We want there to be at least 15% of the building that is the mixed-use building to be considered commercial, and we want them to retain at least 60% of the existing building to be called a conversion. We also want to put in a qualification that they apply within a year, and that we could claw this back on any new applications if they don't comply, if they're found to be not in compliance. For example, if they just build an apartment building and don't have any commercially in there, that would no longer qualify. So that's it in a nutshell.
So this would eliminate a vending machine to count as mixed use, correct?
Well, we never really had that situation.
No, we had one.
But no, well, anyway, yes, it would, because you would need to have at least 15% of the property, the building, to be utilized for commercial purposes.
So with this,
So I just want to, applaud this proposal, because we've talked about it a number of times over the last couple of years. It's been highlighted in local media, and some of the context, we adopted this state option when we lost the Empire Zone tax credit. So we use it as an intentional way to drive investment and to really help make our downtown residential. And it has really, I think, probably done a lot of good over the last 10 years to build density in our urban core. And it has also been gamed by developers who use the letter of the law instead of the spirit of the law to do a project that is not truly mixed use. And those buildings do feel different, and they don't feel worthy of the level of break. So I applaud this attempt to realign the spirit of the law, to the letter of the law, to be more of the spirit, to say it has to be at least 15% commercial, and that they need to save 60% of the floor area of the existing building. So those things seem really great. I did have a couple of questions that I shared that I'd like answers to by Monday, which are, and I won't be here, so I'm going to ask him, and Commissioner Clifford can answer them next time. But how many dollar value of breaks have we given? How many projects over the time period? And then an estimate, to the best of our ability, of how many projects wouldn't have met these thresholds and would have not been in the program, just so that we have an understanding of what percentages we're really catching.
I can get that to you.
So those are my questions, but overall, I'm excited for this change. I think it's a good change, and other counselors who have questions, go for it.
I as well, very excited to see this development. So I want to thank your work, and I know Councilor Rudd's been advocating for this for a while. My questions would be, how does this interact with the state law? I mean, I know this was at the state, and that I believe Assemblyman Magnarelli was pushing some changes to the
Yes.
law before executive session ended last time, and they
It didn't happen on the state
Didn't
level,
happen.
and this is why we're trying to do something on the local level until they do actually act on this in the state level.
Is this similar to what Assemblyman Magnarelli was pushing forward?
It is similar, yes. It's not exactly the same.
Not the
I think they
exact
had a
same.
higher, they wanted to retain a higher percentage of the building, of the existing building.
Okay. But there'll be no problem with implementing this in connection with what the state already has on the books, no?
I don't believe so. All exemptions are authorized by New York State, and then this is one that's at local option. So we'd like to put these qualifications in our local projects.
And one last question, why did you think to if the Assembly's bill had the threshold a little higher, why did we decide to go lower?
Well, if the state puts through what they originally proposed, we would have to go with their threshold, not ours.
Okay.
But
What was your threshold?
70%.
I believe it was
for the floor area.
75% of the existing building.
Instead of 60, they went with 70?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only other thing I would add is if this all goes along to plan, the goal is that this would be effective January 1, 2020. So,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Green.
Thank you, Madam President. Items 17 and 19.
Good afternoon, councilors. Mary Robison, city engineer. Items 17 to 19 are a new TIP project where we're going to be milling and paving East Colvin Street from South Salina Street to Jamesville Ave. We're asking for bonding, an agreement with New York State DOT, and project authorization for scoping and preliminary design for a total cost not to exceed $246,000. This right now has 80% federal funding and 20% local share. We got awarded this project after they awarded the Marchicelli money last spring, so I'm hoping that we might get Marchicelli money this spring, 2020.
So it won't, the Marchicelli won't apply to this thing?
It may or it may not, I'm not sure.
Okay.
It was the timing of when we got it. They award Marchicelli money, I believe it's like April, May-ish.
For the whole year?
Yes, but they might give it to us. We should get it for final design
Okay.
Are we,
and construction, I'd hope.
are we anticipating any major changes in the design of Colvin?
No, it's predominantly just milling and paving, maintaining existing curbs, and updating the ADA corners.
And do we have a ballpark estimate of, if this goes through, when we'd be looking to do the work?
Looking at 2022.
Okay. Any other questions on these?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item 20. From DPW.
This is in order to meet the not to exceed amount of change slightly, because the equipment costs more than what the original legislation says. The only thing you're changing is from $349,285 to $349,995.
Okay. I guess my only question would be, just do we have an update on the fleet manager position?
Corey Dunham, Chief Operating Officer. We are holding interviews this afternoon. We have 4 candidates for the fleet, Director of Fleet Operations.
It's very exciting.
It is exciting. I'm excited.
Okay. Okay, item 21.
Did you want to do 20?
I think,
You
does
all
anyone have
set
any
on
questions
20?
on 20?
Okay.
I think we're good.
Good afternoon, Neil Burke, DPW Transportation Planner. Item 21 relates to an agreement with New York State DOT to help fund our traffic control center, which is down at the DPW garage on Canal Street. So this is a standard agreement that we've entered into with New York State for a number of years now, and this provides funding for staffing, training, software, and material support.
Can you just provide a high-level overview of what Traffic Control Center?
Sure.
Control?
So the Traffic Control Center is where all of our interconnected signals come to a head, basically. So there are a number of monitors, switches, blinking lights, keyboards, you name it. It's all down there, and it helps with, it allows us to implement different signal timings, especially for AM and PM rush. It doesn't allow us to, say, flip the switch on one specific intersection right now if I call them down there, but it helps with our traffic management plan.
So then I guess at a high level, how technologically advanced are we compared to other cities, and are we planning to do anything new there, or what's the long term?
So most metropolitan areas have a TCC or a TMC. The state has their own TMC about 100 feet away in that building. We have toured theirs with the MPO SMTC, just trying to think about what this will look like long term. The state would like to collaborate with us and make sure we have an open channel of communication, especially as it relates to 81 and a certain project that may be happening, if you've heard about it, related to the viaduct and some detours that will need to take place. So we are looking at options across the board for what this will look like long term. Is that co-location? Is that updates, investments? We're taking a hard look at all of it.
Okay.
Okay, Neil, I need to ask a question though, because I've been to the traffic control and previous administrations, I've talked about this, okay? I do know, I travel these roads a lot, and I know that traffic control is to keep the signals moving. I'm trying to figure out, because some of these streets you come down, one corner, the light is red, the next corner, the light is green, and then when you get to the next one, it's red. So how do we keep it consistent with the traffic flow? Or how often do we actually look at the traffic flow and the consistency?
So the signal operator, whose job it is to just oversee the signals, is out in the field every day, taking measurements, looking at timings. One person. And so it's important to note that even though we have a traffic control center, that doesn't mean that when everyone leaves here today, you're going to jump on James Street or Genesee Street or wherever it is and just get a wave of green lights and never have to stop or slow down. As we all know, there's peds, there's bikes, there's transit users, there's kids going to school. We have to accommodate a number of different modes in our right-of-way, and not everyone's heading in the same direction. Does that mean we've hit 100% optimal signal timing? Absolutely not, but this is a moving target for sure, and something that we're consistently working on, and the state helps us to pay for that.
And if you could stick around, I need to talk to you offline.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions on this? Thanks.
Thank you.
Item 22.
She laughing at.
Good afternoon, councilors. Pat Monin with DPW, parking garage supervisor. Upstate Medical Center has recently approached us and asked if we could accommodate any available parking spaces at the Madison Irving garage for them. We looked at the numbers. We currently have an agreement with Rothschild, which oversees Madison Irving Medical Center, for 190 spaces plus an additional 200 spaces of transient parking. This would be like for patients and visitors to the center. There's one other agreement that possibly will come along after the first of the year, which would be 30 spaces. I should have told you from the beginning, there are 525 spaces in the garage. I'm sorry for that, kind of a key point. We looked at the numbers, or I looked at them rather, and I feel very comfortable. We have over 120 some odd unused spaces, and we're offering 50 spaces at this time with your agreement. The spaces will be at market rate. The agreement proposes for 3 years with 2 one-year extensions.
Any questions on this? I have a question that's kind of blends into the next one, which is the revenue control one. This garage, if you're a transient parker, it's only for, you can't pay by credit card, right?
Not at this time. We're hoping to remedy that when we put out the RFP early next year for all the garages.
Okay. I have a constituent that is married to me that complains about not being able to pay by cash there, so
I do too.
I'd appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay. Thanks. Any other questions on item 23, the revenue control? Okay. Thank you. Item 24.
Good afternoon, Joe Awald, Commissioner Water. This is to re-enter into an agreement with the state DOT for employee parking at the parking lot across from the water department, something we've had for about 25 years now. During the 690 project, it was taken away for construction purposes. Any questions?
No, I just think it's so minimal, the state should waive the fee.
I would agree with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilor Kearney.
Thank you, Madam President. I have items 25 and 26.
Good afternoon, Jimmy Oliver, Deputy Commissioner of Parks and Recreation. We're looking to amend the ordinance to change, to correct the first paragraph to read, to defray the cost and expense of pool improvements for Burnett Park, not to commercialize meter replacement.
Is that just a typo that you guys had in there, or is
Correct.
it changing the scope of work?
Yep, it was a typo.
Okay.
26. We would like to amend that the local match of 25% be charged to the capital account.
Okay. We're just changing what account it's coming from?
Correct.
Okay. Those are my items.
Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Allen.
Thank you. I have items 27 through 52. Item 27 is pending due to the public hearing on Monday at 1 o'clock. And item 28, so I am aware that the owner is here today. So we did have a committee meeting last week, and you weren't able to speak. So if you would, I'll give you 2 to 3 minutes to speak if you wanted to. And just introduce yourself, please.
Hello, I'm Sheila Weed from Group 1 Design. I'm the architect, and Tino Marcoscia, the owner of the building, is my client. I attended all the meetings, Preservation Board meetings, and for this project, and I was not aware at all, otherwise I would have been here last week. I don't know how I never heard about this meeting. Where's my paper? Using up my 3 minutes. We've got some questions about the building. I contacted Landmark Preservation Board. We needed to know, we'd like to know when this building particularly was put on the list as potentially locally designated or able to be designated. Mr. Marcoscia bought the building in 2002, and I'm not aware that it was on the list. It's on the current list, but I don't know. I can't find anywhere, and I've asked what the lists are and how they evolve. So I guess this building and other buildings, I guess it's just not fair to building owners and homeowners to have their maybe properties put on a list and if they're not aware of it, but maybe cards or something is set out to let people know this. One of the reasons Mr. Marcoscia requests to demolish this building is for parking for this project. We currently own, and I sent a letter. Did you receive it? Yeah. We own a number of properties on that North State Street. Currently, if we can remove that building, we can do lower level parking for the building. We're estimating right now we can get 33 spots. If the building needs to stay and we need a different entry, we'll be down to 17, only 17 parking spots. Our block is adjacent to St. Joe's Hospital, and we're looking at possibly getting them as main floor tenants, doctors, PT. And because of the type of parking they need, we would like to have underground parking, and there's limited parking on the street. Once it's filled, it's filled. And if it's PT or medical, you need some kind of parking. So that would limit that type of client for that lower level. We're planning on 3 to 4 floors of apartments, 1 and 2 bedroom, and National Grid has agreed. We were limited by the height, and we walked through the project with National Grid, and they will move the lines for us so we can have a taller building than which we would like. So that would make us need the parking even more. So, do you want to go?
Thank you.
Yes, Tino Marcoscia, owner of North State Street. I'm an immigrant too. I came in this country 50 years ago. I'm a developer in Syracuse. I've done a lot of things in Syracuse. Recently developed James Street properties, Kenny Drugs, the old Stickers, building. So I've done a lot of nice things. With all due respect to the Angeloro family, this property has been for sale many times. If they want the legacy of their great-grandfather, they should have bought the building. State Street, it's all apartments. Right behind St. Joe's. There's no residential there. One-family residential, it's all apartment buildings. So that's the reason why we tried to sell the properties. We couldn't sell it, and I think the best thing for the city and for us to develop this property. We can, right now the taxes are very minimal because of the empty lots, putting a building, a $6 million deal here. It could generate a lot of taxes for the city. It could generate a lot of sales tax because we do the first floor as a retail area. The restaurant, we're going to move there at the same site and make things good for everybody here. I mean, the city needs growth. We pay a lot of taxes in the city, so we should be able to do what's proper to do. Maybe this is an old animosity that I tried to do with the historical people maybe 30 years ago on the corner of Butternut and Park, with the old Crash drugstore. I tried to do a project there. I had a company going in there with 99-year lease. They stopped me. Historical people, they stopped me. But at the time when we went to court, Supreme Court, and I beat them, the company that was going to do the project moved away. The lot has been empty for 30 years. I can't do no development there. Nobody wants it. It's a bad area of the city. So that's what happens when people trying to stop growth in the city.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any questions?
Councilor Carney, did you want to comment?
No, I don't have any questions.
I would rather ask you this way. One thing that people say about this is if you tore it down, there's really nothing, we have nothing to say you're going to do what you say you're going to do, and you could just easily make it a parking lot for St. Joe's. So how would you, and like also people say the development you're doing, it could almost be built, like it could incorporate the existing building. So how would you respond to those type of questions?
Well, you could check my history. I mean, they tried to do the same thing on James Street. They tried to stop me there. Common Council got together. They recognized the project was good for the city. The Common Council voted my favor. We built 2 corners there. We spent over $5 million in those 2 corners. Today is bringing in revenues, sales tax, property taxes. Steak and Sunday building was out of the map for 18 years. When I bought it, I pay all the taxes for the city. I redeveloped Westcott Street. Westcott Street was a dump 30 years ago. It's the most busy street in the city of Syracuse. So what I say, I done. What I will say, I will do.
So have you taken into consideration of saving the building and just adding on? That was kind of part of what he was saying, but you didn't answer that yet. So is there any consideration of saving the building and just making an addition?
As my architect stated, for us to accommodate the parking and attract tenants for this building, we need underground parking. And the way the streets are situated, we can accommodate what we need. And then if National Grid agreed to move the lines across the street because of the fire restrictions, we can go even higher on the building. We can go 4, 5, maybe 6 floors and build more apartments, more retail, more office space.
Can I ask a question, Counselor? Okay, so just for my sake, how many apartments are you talking about?
At this point, we're not sure because of all the restrictions.
And without the restrictions, how many apartments are you talking about?
30.
Okay, and then I hear you talking about a parking lot for St. Joe's, and no disrespect meant there,
No,
but
not for St. Joe's.
No, he said yes he did. He said the St. Joe's employees
Yes.
for parking. St. Joe's
No.
has no.
No.
No, I said that their hope is to get
People from St.
tenants
Joe's,
at
yeah.
the base floor.
Oh, okay.
There would
Not
be-
parking.
There would be something in St. Joe's.
Doctors or
Right, they do. So okay, all right. So, how many apartments again?
30.
30 right now, but if we can go higher, we build even more.
We're still looking at the mix of 1 and 2 bedrooms and apartments.
And I'm going to piggyback on my colleagues, and I'm going to be done with the question. So there's no way that you can actually incorporate this building to receive that same goal?
The biggest thing is the foundation for that building.
Can you use the mic? Sorry.
the foundation for the building takes up about a fifth of that. The basement, which would be the parking garage, and then if that building stays, we can't have an entrance into the parking garage on Belden, so we'd have to move that up onto North State Street to have the ramp to go down into the parking garage, and that cuts out more spaces too. So it would just severely cut down the spaces available.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll call item 28 ready. All right, item 29 was a special permit. This one was on the agenda last time, correct? Okay. All right, we held it last time for Councilor Ryan.
Held it twice.
So, yeah, so I'll try to contact him before 1 o'clock. And item 30, is there anyone that can, okay.
Sharon Owens, Deputy Mayor. I'm here on behalf of Janet Burke. She had an emergency, so she couldn't be here.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to apologize to the council. This application was due on and submitted on November 4th. We had a bit of a communication glitch, so we had to pull together this application in about 5 days, thanks to a lot of hard work by department folks. But it was something that we just did not want to pass up on. So it has been submitted. $200,000 was the cap we could apply for. The RFP went out by New York State to 5 cities: Buffalo, Syracuse, Rochester, Albany, and New York City. And it will be looking to assist growth for existing MWBEs to grow their capacity. Clearly, from the RFP, New York State is seeking to enhance the ability of currently certified MWBEs to be able to gain more contracts on state projects. And so the plan that we submitted will work with existing 15 to 20 existing MWBEs to build their finance capacity. We'll be incorporating the Financial Empowerment Center as part of that. We'll be collaborating with Center State for some of their existing training tracks, as well as set aside funding for specific training needs that we wouldn't know until we actually meet the companies, to be able to provide them training as well. It'll be an 18-month project. Starting next year, I believe, if I can remember, it was between 60 and 90 days. Starting January, the state will work with if awarded, work with us to create the plan, and then we implement the program for the remainder of the 18 months.
Okay. Any questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I have to go back to correct myself. Item 29, I'll hold till Monday. I said 1 o'clock thinking it was Monday. So we'll hold that till Monday. Items 31 through 52. So we do have the list. Thank you for that. Item 31, Councilor Driscoll.
That's good.
Ready? All right, so item 31 is ready. Item 32.
Hold that, please.
Okay.
Up to number 44, we're all held.
Yep. Item 33 is ready. Item 34.
Bless you.
Bless you.
This one I'm still I'm torn on, so I'm gonna hold it until Monday. And all District 3, I'll hold them for now until we speak to Councilor Lovejoy. Item 36.
That's right.
Okay. And I'll hold item 37 and 38. Item 39.
Hold, please.
Okay. Gonna hold 39 and 40. Also holding 41.
41, we respectfully request withdraw. It redeemed, actually. So.
Okay. Thank you. And 42 and 43?
Hold those, please.
All right, and I'll hold item 44. and 45. And I'll hold 46, 47, 48, and 49 for now. And would you be able to give me updates on item 50 and 51, please?
50 has been reached out to by letter correspondence, and they should be getting between now and Monday. We'll be having door-to-door contact for anyone that hasn't returned any phone calls. And then 51 is the same situation.
Okay, and so both of these, you guys haven't been able to physically
We
talk
haven't
to
been able to
anybody
reach
at
them
all?
yet, so they'll get a door-to-door.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right, and item 52 is ready.
What about 51?
I'm gonna hold both of those, 50 and 51.
All righty.
Thank you.
And with that, I need a motion to adjourn. Second? Second. All in favor? Adjourn.
The committee meeting, Public Safety Committee meeting on the CRB will start in 3 minutes.